Thank you for having me, Melvin.
Yeah. So maybe would you give me a short, brief overview of what you do, who you are? Yeah.
I'm a jack of very many trades, but my one craft is I'm currently a master's student studying public administration, understanding how government works.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're basically into governments, its systems, whatnot.
Yes.
That's really good. So maybe just hit us off. I'd like to ask you, is the protection of the environment and economic prosperity contradictory to each other? Can they happen at the same time, or one has to give way to the other?
They must happen at the same time because 70% of a typical example of an economy like agriculture depends on climatic conditions. If you don't preserve the environment, it means that your produce is going to be affected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think, just, having been around for some time and doing this for quite a while, I think, do you think that Kenya is on the right path towards realizing a sustainable economy, and maybe what are some of the challenges into that as well?
Kenya is on the right path, but Kenya can do more. It's issues of mismanagement, it's issues of corruption that are so inbred that for us to develop, we should be developing faster than we are currently developing.
Yeah.
And the government has to put measures in place to ensure that we're in the right path.
How can Kenya involve meaningful public participation, from all stakeholders in respect to economic development?
So basically, public participation is a huge thing. Is it happening? Yes. Is it at the extent in which we want it to happen? No. Why doesn't Melvin know about it? Because it's also selective public participation.
This conversation, at the end of the day, also, just points to our leaders and back to our policymakers.
Of course.
And so in this case, do you think our policymakers have a good understanding of the principles of sustainable economic development in Kenya?
I don't believe there is a shortage of manpower, a shortage of people who don't know these things. The problem is, how do we get the information from the top to the bottom?
I'm really enjoying this conversation because you're opening my eyes to, this whole sustainable economic development conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just like to maybe take us to, a point where I would ask, would a stronger environment, and economic development strategy address the welfare of the people? Yeah.
By that,
especially for the poor and marginalized.
Yes. For a free market economy, whereby the demand and supply, it's straight. If you want something, you get something, is good for the people, for the middle, for the elite.
So, Anita, do you think a privately driven economy would actually cure Kenya of our big monster?
Yes, called corruption.
And also, in the same vein, push the development of a sustainable, economy.
I'm very skeptical because when we are talking about private-driven economy, it means we let the private sector do what they want. However, there must be check and balances.
Yeah, true. I think also we have a long way. I mean, we're still learning. We are a young republic, and we should try to learn from our big brothers from elsewhere. And honestly, I wouldn't want to look at Africa for now because we are almost compounded by the same problems.
Yeah.
If I look at a country like Germany, Germany is a country that has developed on so many
and
levels.
Economically,
they're actually the economic powers of Europe right now.
Yes.
Do you think Kenya can learn and borrow from the German model of a social and ecological market economy? Yeah.
I believe Kenya can learn because when you look at the history of Germany, a brief counter, rising from World War I, World War II was no big deal, was not a joke, was really a big deal. And it was on the basis of economic development.
Wow, I mean, I feel like going on. I'm learning and unlearning so much at the same time,
Yeah.
But because of time, I really have to come to my last question to you, Anita.
Yes, let's
Which
see.
in this case would be, if you could push one button, you're sitting in your own fantasy world and you have these buttons that when you push, something magical happens. If you're, just imagine you're in that space where you can push that button. If you're to push that one button, just to realize that your vision of a nation that has achieved the goals of a prospering, sustainable economic development, how would Kenya look like? What is your dream?
The Kenya I'm looking at is where every citizen born, we, the sovereign, as the Constitution states under Article 3, that you're able to, any person is able to access the basics, food, shelter, basically economic.